They were on the road, down 20 points. Their star was in foul trouble, Jalen Brunson. It was one of those, what kind of man are you games? And Karl Anthony Towns, two things happened. Number one, Karl Anthony Towns said, I'll show you what kind of man I am. I'm going to single-handedly take over the fourth quarter. Listen, the dude, he has quarters like this. He averages 23 a game in his career. When he was in his prime, Karl Anthony Towns always ended up near the top of those GM surveys they do. Who would you start a franchise with? He doesn't play any defense. He's a little quirky, but he can dominate games. I've been to 3 or 4 games where he was playing, and he was the best player on the floor at some point in all those games. So, and the second thing that happened, and this does not happen very often for the Pacers, they lost their way offensively. So Halliburton, end of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth. So end of the third, beginning of the fourth, about 4.5 minutes, he was on the bench. In that time, a 15-point lead evaporated to 4. And then he comes back in, and they just never quite felt the same. Again, Indiana, it's hard to get them off their offensive game, but even when the Knicks were down 4, 3, 2 points, it felt like they were in control. So the Pacers are a rhythm team, and that they have the fastest pace in the league. And they got out of their rhythm. And all of a sudden you had Nesmith and other guys, McConnell, trying to run the offense. It's like, bro, that's not it. This is Halliburton's offense. They lost their quarterback. They only shot 36% in the second half at home and shot 42%. That's the worst half of basketball for the Pacers. And just to give you, in the playoffs, to give you another example, it flashed on the screen. At one point in the first half, they had 14 fast break points. They were running the Knicks out of the arena. In the second half, total 2 fast break points. Halliburton sits, they lose their rhythm, he comes back in, tries to kickstart it, and he never could. And what did we talk about last week? Whoever controls the tempo is going to win the games and or the series. And the Knicks compressed it, slowed it down, and also, and this matters, the Knicks hit their last 15 free throws. I know that's not a glamorous headline, but remember, game 1, the Knicks had control, and they were missing free throws. Open the door. This was the opposite. They were controlling tempo. In game 1, they lost tempo, missed free throws. Here late, they controlled tempo, hit free throws, and so they were a better road team than they were a home team. The road team has won every game in this series. So the Knicks slowed it down, hit the freebies, and I thought their defensive rotations were much better, especially when you had, once Halliburton sat down for that stretch. And you see this in football all the time. You have momentum, you have a bad series, you have a fumble, there's a turnover, and you can never find the momentum again. It's hard. Momentum matters, and it especially matters in playoff games. So we have ourselves a series. The Knicks blew game 1. It kind of felt like they stole game 3. Indiana felt like the better team in game 2. We've got a series, and here's Tibbs.
In playoff basketball, I know you guys like roll your eyes when I say no lead is safe, but no lead is safe because I think with the three-point shot, people make up ground quickly, pace the game, make up ground quickly. You see comebacks all the time, and if you let up just a little bit, that's what happens.
Yeah. I'm so sick of people downplaying who Cat is and, what he can do, which is why I think it was indefensible that he wasn't getting the playing time in game 2. I mean, like, you got to trust your players. You got to trust the guys who got you here. And I think he played awesome. I mean, I think he's always, he's often scapegoated or made fun of or, whatever. And it really kind of drives me crazy. But, Colin went on a pretty long rant here. And the reality is this. The game can get reduced to just something very incredibly binary with the New York Knicks. Throughout game 3, they could not do what they wanted to do. I'm watching this game, And it was just the Indiana Pacers were doing exactly what they wanted to do. And the New York Knicks, even when they're scoring points and playing defense, it never felt like they were doing what they wanted to do. They were reacting to everything, even offensively. They were constantly reacting to whatever the Indiana Pacers were doing rather than doing what they wanted to do. And in the fourth quarter, they finally started to do what they wanted to do. And surprise, surprise, they come away with the win. Now, they were definitely, Reggie Miller kind of talked about it. He goes, the only way that the Knicks can get back in this game is if the Pacers start to get sloppy with the ball, have sloppy turnovers. And in a way they did, because they kept having these sloppy fouls. They kept having these sloppy, especially offensive fouls that then were turning the ball over. And so it really did feel like that the Knicks lost game one. They got the game one stolen from them. And game three, in a lot of ways, feels like the reverse, is that the Pacers kind of gave that game away. And so now those games cancel it out, right? Like, that was a heartbreaker for the Knicks in game one. And the whole time I'm watching this game, I'm thinking to myself, okay, the Knicks, can come back and win this game. And this is why losing game one is so devastating, because you could be up 2-1 right now. Like, you got to win the games that you're supposed to win. You got to win the games that you're supposed to win. The margin of error is just too small. It's just too small. And so, like the defense, like the whole time I'm watching the Knicks turn this thing around, I'm like, how have they not been playing like this from the jump? Their defense was so much more aggressive and assertive and physical. It was just they looked like, for the first time in a while, quite frankly, that they were the better team, that they wanted to play. It was the Knicks that I was praising them for being, but I hadn't seen them. And in a lot of ways in this series, it's the Pacers who have been playing the style that I was praising the Knicks for doing. But then I finally saw that, and it all just kind of clicked. But in those first three quarters, you're watching this game, and if you knew nothing about the Knicks, if you knew nothing about any of these players at all, and this is the first time you're watching them, you would be like, who's their leader? Who's their star player? I don't understand. Like, who's the number one guy on this team? You wouldn't know. I mean, it was they were just so disconnected. And that's what I kind of keep saying, is that they just kept reacting rather than executing what they wanted to do. It's reaction versus execution. And in the fourth quarter, it was execution. And they executed their opponent, and they came out on top. So I'm so fascinated to see how they, how game four looks, honestly. Because the Pacers were not in control of game one at all, but then they somehow pulled it off, really by a lot of gifts from New York. And again, credit to the Pacers. Game two, the Pacers felt like they were in control, really start to finish, quite frankly. I know the scores kind of can, flip a little bit, but it felt like it was the Indiana Pacers game. And then game three, quite frankly, the entire game felt like it was the Indiana Pacers game. I mean, it really did. And then they really just completely fell apart, which New York Knicks fans know very well. They've had that experience in this very series. And so I'm just so fascinated to see what game four looks like. Like, who is it going to feel like they are in control? What is the story here? Because you do got to tie. It's got to be 2-2. It's got to be 2-2. Got to be 2-2. Got to be 2-2. Cannot go down to 3-1. Obviously, it's an obvious take, but it needs to be repeated. And it's just like, if I don't see the final 10 minutes, 8 minutes, whatever it is of the fourth quarter, if I don't see that throughout the entire game, I'm just going to question, like, what is happening, because it's not a lack of belief. This team believes in themselves. They don't need to be inspired or motivated. Jalen Brunson doesn't need to be inspired or motivated. Cat, Hart, like, none of those guys need to be like, come on guys, we can do it. Like, no, we know they have that. That's literally part of their DNA and the foundation of who this team is. So it's not a matter of like, well, they just weren't working hard enough. So it's just like, well, like, what is it then? Like, what are the levers that need to be pulled? So that's why I'm so fascinated for game four, just to be like, what brand of New York Knicks basketball are we going to see? Because on one side, if you're a Knicks fan, like, you should be excited. They just won. It's 2-1, like, better than being down 3-0, of course. And, you know, you come away with the win. But, like, when you watch that fourth quarter, you're just like, where was this? First off, where was this throughout the game itself? And where was this previously? You know, where was this in game 2? Like, where was this? And yeah, again, hopefully they bring it for game 4, but it's like, it's got to be from the jump, because make no mistake about it. Yes, the Knicks, their defense was great and down the stretch and all of that, but like, the Pacers did randomly just get sloppy. The same feeling that you probably had after game 1 when you were like, oh my God, we had that game. We gave that away. Also, the Pacers kind of got really lucky and hot and were just making, you know, shot after shot, 3 after 3 after 3. And like, all of that is, you know, is makes sense to me. You know, it really does. And it's not exactly what happened with the Indiana Pacers in game 3, but like, they randomly forgot how to play basketball. And then they started taking bad shots, and it was just like, well, the New York Knicks are too good of a team. Like, you leave the door open, the New York Knicks team, they're too good of a team. They're gonna now take this game from you, and that's exactly what they did. I'm right and taking notes of this game, and I'm like coming up with all the things that the Knicks are doing wrong, because it feels like they're going to lose this game, and then it just switches, and you're just like, well, this is interesting. And again, I'm just like, where the heck has this been? It feels like I've been sleeping, and now I just like woke up, and I'm just like, what the heck is this right now? I mean, it's just kind of crazy how this game unfolded, honestly. But you know, that's why I keep saying it's gonna be interesting. What does game 4 officially look like? Because if you tie this up and then you bring it back to New York, I mean, we probably got a 7-game series. Yeah, this was a big win, obviously. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the New York Knicks and their comeback win? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.